Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, March 2nd. If you have any questions or comments, anything during this meeting, come up to one of these microphones, tell us who you are, where you live. And out of courtesy to our other guests, please direct all your questions to this body here, and we'll try to siphon through it. Call the roll, please.
Cedar?
Here.
Ellery?
Here.
Kinspotter? Koopa?
Here.
Laporte?
Here.
McCartney?
Here.
Watt?
Here. Motion to excuse Kinspotter.
Support.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent agenda A, City Council minutes of February 17th, 2020, regular meeting, recommendation approved.
So moved. Support.
Is there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5 is a public hearing this evening for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant Clutcha Park renovations. I'll open the public hearing and ask for Therese to start as well.
Sure.
No, you?
I have a mission. She's talking.
Okay.
Thank you. We do have someone here from Rowan Associates Engineers. They have been working with the Recreation Commission on developing the DNR grant application for Clutcha Park. So I'm going to let him do a presentation for us. It's Blake Stozer.
Good evening. As Therese said, we've been working with the city of St. Clair for almost 3 years in developing a concept plan that dealt with the cemetery and the park project. And now we are at the process of developing a grant application to be submitted to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources on April 1st for the purposes of redeveloping and implementing some accessibility changes to the park, which will include playground equipment, advanced trails, and additional parking, and improvements with pavilion areas and picnic tables in the park area. The intent is to make Clutcha Park more accessible and usable for the residents around the Goff and Palmer Street neighborhoods. With that being said, it has been a pleasure to work with Therese and with the entire St. Clair community, as this is a very vital park that has a lot of history. And one thing that is continually has been given to me is that to treasure these assets in the community are essential for the neighbors and for those that are in this community. So with that being said, I give back my time to the City Council.
Thank you, Blake. Any questions for Blake? Therese, you?
I'll just make a few budget comments. So the DNR grant is a 75-25 matching fund grant, and we are proposing that we increase our local match to a 30%. One, to meet some of the grant criteria in the scoring. It gives us a better competitive grant. And the total cost of the project is $294,800. The maximum you can ask for in this grant is $300,000. And so our local 30% match will be $88,500. And we are proposing that we would use our St. Clair County millage funds. We have some funds on reserve. We will receive current, and if the project goes into the next year, we would receive future millage fund monies to cover the cost of our local match.
The local match is around, what, 25,000 a year?
Per year, yes. And we do have some on reserve. Of course, you know, from our previous meetings, we also have an MDOT grant, and some of that reserve money will be used for that too, but between the two projects, we think that that would be covered.
And I'm assuming you're approaching the foundations and such?
Well, our primary source will be the DNR grant, but we might pursue other resources to help pay for costs that are not included in the grant, like some of the engineering costs and things like that. Yes.
Therese, this is phase one of the project that we've talked about on REC. Can you explain a little bit about what phase two would entail?
Okay, we did have the site, I thought the site map was up. prior to the meeting, but if you have an opportunity, you can look at it. Phase 2, we would like to keep expanding on facilities, and we're looking at some type of hard surface, multi-use, whether it's a basketball court or a pickleball court, some type of court play. And we are also looking into putting in a splash pad, and with the possibility of that could also be used as an ice rinks for multi-use, and doing more improvements to the ball field, doing renovations to, we're planning on keeping the major league field and using the rest of the park for all these other multi-use facilities.
Your future phase projects is that included in the $295,000?
No, this grant is for picnic pavilion, replacing the picnic pavilion, the playground, putting in a pathway to make it accessible, and parking lot improvements.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Therese? Okay, anybody from the public have questions about this topic? Clutcher Park? All right, Therese, Blake, thank you. I'll close the public hearing. We'll go to number 6, ordinance and resolution. A, ordinance introduction 2023 special assessments. Downey?
Your Honor, before council is a proposed amendment to ordinance 4616, which is part of the code dealing with special assessments. Currently, our ordinance allows the city council to permit repayment of a special assessment over the course of 10 years. In discussions I've had with Mr. Rothy, while that might have been the standard repayment term 4 years ago when the ordinance was adopted, it's currently almost double that. And what this proposed amendment does is change the term of repayment from 10 to 20 years at city council's discretion.
Motion to approve.
Support.
All right, the motion's made, supported. Is there any questions? So if we move to 20, we could set up a special assessment at 15.
Correct. Anything from 0 to 20.
Is it 20? All right. Anybody else? This is an introduction. Call the roll, please.
Laporte,
Yes.
McCartney,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Ellery,
Yes.
Koopa,
Yes.
Cedar,
Yes.
carried, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll go to B, Resolution 2006, MERS, Retiree Healthcare Funding Vehicle. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, Council. Last week I had emailed you a memo regarding the series of votes we're going to have tonight. If Council is willing to move forward with this, establishing a trust for retiree healthcare benefits. Public Act 202 of 2017 requires local governments that offer retiree health insurance to employees hired after June 30th, 2018 to begin essentially paying the normal cost of those benefits. So essentially the actuary figures out, okay, here's your employees hired after June 30th, 2018. This is based on, when they're eligible to retire and receive health insurance and life expectancy and all those things. This is the amount of money the city needs to contribute annually just for those employees that were hired after June 30th, 2018. Much like the pension now, how we're pre-funding the pension, this new law requires us to pre-fund retiree health care benefits. Right now, there are 5 employees who have been eligible for retiree health care who've been hired after June 30th. So essentially what this trust with MERS is, it's an account that where the funds, once deposited, can only be used for future retiree health care costs. Both of those 5 employees we are required to pre-fund, as well as just any of our pay-as-you-go retiree health care funding, which is how we currently finance it. So that's kind of the reason to make an account, make it legally separate, make it designated only for retiree health care. These funds can be invested with MERS. There's a few different portfolio options. And right now, the city actually has a reserve of, essentially it's general fund money that's been assigned for the purpose of meeting retiree health insurance costs. It's $1,092,000 in a reserve for that. That technically is still general fund money. It can be spent on any legally permissible purpose at council's discretion. Over the last few years, in the budget, there has been a transfer of about $50,000 annually into that, general fund reserve, if you will. So what I'm essentially proposing is, of that $1,092,000, we move $550,000 into this new trust account to get it going. We continue on those budgeted, that $50,000 that we put in now, that is much greater than the requirement of those 5 employees' costs. So I would basically propose move the $550,000, continue the transfer of, about $50,000 as the budget allows into this retiree health trust to, basically start accumulating growth and grow that further. And how I would invest that is essentially, I understand the importance of growing money, but also preserving capital. My initial proposal to the council is investing it into a 40-60 portfolio, which is 40% of the funds invested in stocks and 60% invested in bonds. Council can change this allocation and investment option at any time it wants, depending on the performance goals we see. So basically, this resolution is from MERS, and it would establish the account. And then under new business, we have action to basically authorize that initial transfer of $550,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions now if you may have them.
How did you come up with $550,000?
We had $1,092,000. I was thinking, a little bit more than half, because our pension costs, which are more pressing and are going to be increasing every year for this, the long term. I figured, I didn't want to put all that $1 million in there because if we had to pay everything right now per the actuary, if we paid it for every dollar that we're going to spend until everybody who has retiree health insurance no longer has it, that's about $2.5 million right now. So we have, $1 million right now, but again, we're paying as we go each year.
Sure.
So far, we've been able to meet those payments pretty well. It's not a big strain on the budget like the pension is going to turn into. So I thought, because this is general fund money, can be spent on any purpose, it would be good to basically leave $450,000 in the general fund, knowing that our pension costs, any increases we're facing in those are going to be way more pressing to the city than, our cost for retiree health insurance.
Your Honor, I'd approve the resolution as presented.
Support.
All right, the motion's been made and supported to approve the resolution for the MERS Retiree Health Funding Vehicle. Is there any questions, comments in the audience? All right, call the roll, please.
McCartney?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Kupa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We'll go to C, 27, authorization, local unit of government match, Michigan Department of Natural Resource Trust Fund grant.
Thank you. So one of the grant requirements for the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant is to have a resolution by our local unit of government stating that they support our project, which is the Clair Park improvements, to the Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant for the development of an accessible playground, pavilion, and parking area at Clair Park. This project is supported in our current recreation plan. And our financial commitment for the project, as I stated earlier at the public hearing, is $88,500 for our local match, which is 30%, and the total project cost is $294,800.
I'd make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Support.
All right, made and supported. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Watt?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Kupa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
McCartney?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Trent.
Thank you.
Trees. Thank you, Blake. Let's go to number 7, Board of Administration, Mr. Rothy.
One item to talk about today is at the last meeting I mentioned staff has been working on a resident handbook, which is essentially an overview of all the services the city offers. Happy to say that the handbook is finished and is going to be on our website later this week. This is what it looks like. I encourage all our residents to take a look. It has important information like who to contact if you have this item of business that you need to get taken care of, how permitting works and all that stuff. So I think it'll be a really good resource. And I've actually heard people asking for something like this at the counter in City Hall. So I think it's definitely going to be immediately well received by the public. So happy to announce that has been moving forward.
Anything for Mr. Rothy tonight? Mr. Downey, you have anything tonight?
Nothing this evening, Your
All
Honor.
right, anything for Mr. Downey? All right, city departments, anybody have anything out there? Mr. Ennis?
Mayor, Council, not sure if you guys noticed, but in the City Hall hallway, there's a big red box. If you don't know what that box is, it's a prescription drop-off box. And kind of how that box was developed was working the day shift here for the past 4 or 5 years. A lot of people have come in wanting to drop off their prescription medication. We always have to turn them away. It's got to go somewhere else. So obviously we can think of a better solution for that. So I did some research, found out that CVS donates boxes to local police departments so we can use it for our local citizens. And we've had that box about 3 weeks now, and we've got about 5 pounds of medication that people have dropped off. And obviously those are medications that's not going back to the street. It's not getting into the hands of kids, grandchildren. It's not going down the sewer into our water system, and it's not going into the landfill. So for the past 3 weeks, this program has been very successful. And just kind of give an idea of what we do take. For the most part, it's just dry pills, animal medication, patches, wet patches. We don't take syringes or aerosol cans or any liquids. So we are also going to take part in the National Drug Take Back Day, which is this April 25th. We team up with the DEA. So once we collect all our pills on the 25th, we simply go to our local DEA office and dispose of all the medication there. So it's great because they'll dispose of the medication for free, and obviously CVS has given us the box for free. So again, this is a great thing, great asset to our community. We encourage people to use it. Any questions?
Good job.
Yeah, good job on that, and good job on that safety zone camera thing in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's been a hit so far. No
Yeah.
issues. So
That's a good
yeah,
idea.
1,000, so we're good.
Keep up the good work, Donnie.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you do with the pills when you collect them?
We give them to DEA. So the 25th.
I guess what I'm asking, are they destroyed or do they go to a third world country?
They used to. I think they used to.
I know they
Chief
used to.
Ricker said back in his day they used to, but now I think they just incinerate them. They destroy them, they burn them.
Okay.
But I would love, 5 pounds that could help someone else in a third world
That's
country.
a
But
medication.
I don't think it works like that.
Tell them that they should take the pills out of the container and put them in plastic.
Yeah. The girls across the hall have been great. They've been seeing people drop off these pills. And if you do want to keep your own personal privacy, like your name and your address on the pill bottles, you can take those back. If you do bring the pill bottles into our office, the ladies across the hall will give you a Ziploc bag. So you can pour the pills in a Ziploc bag, zip it up, drop it in there. You can take your pill bottles home and you can destroy them how you want to. So a little privacy. But we do destroy them properly, so we don't give out any. Any questions?
Thanks, Don. All right, let's go to D, authorities and boards and
Your Honor?
commissions. Yes, I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
Last announcement, publicly at a council meeting for the presidential primary election, which is 1 week from tomorrow, March 10th. Absent voter ballots are still available, and we're also leading up to the next 2 elections of 2020 already. Planning is in process, so I am also announcing that petition packets for interested mayor and council candidates are available. The deadline to return those to the local clerk's office is April 21st. The state primary election is August 4th, and the general election is November 3rd. If you have any questions, just give me a call.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to D, authorities, boards and commissions, committee chairs, council reps. Anybody have anything? No unfinished business. We'll go to number 9, new business. A, authorize MERS retiree health funding vehicle account deposit.
So essentially, this would be a motion to approve the initial deposit of $550,000 into the retiree health funding vehicle account with MERS, and it would also basically, including in that motion, would be putting it into that 40/60 investment option, and basically directing me to do so.
So moved.
Support.
All right, the motion's made and supported. Any questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Is there any waiving with that, or no? That's just the deposit, the 500,000
Yeah.
deposit? Just making sure I have the motion correct. Thank you. Ellery?
Yes.
Kufa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
McCartney?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Let's go to B, approve ADVIA Credit Union license agreement and sign placement. Mr. Bollier and then Mr. Downey after that.
Mayor, council, Avia Credit Union is going to merge with Riverview Credit Union at 1935 Fredmore Highway. They would like to put an Avia sign on the site, which is in the right-of-way. They have filled out the paperwork for a right-of-way permit. Mr. Downey has prepared a
Motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
a document, licensing agreement with them. And the sign is in the right-of-way. It would be located right near the sign that's already there. Do you have any questions? Please ask.
Motion to approve.
There's an additional issue. The approval tonight is going to be conditional because the Advia Credit Union that will be supported by this sign does not yet exist. We prepared a license agreement for Advia to sign, but we were just advised today that until April 1st, there is no Advia Credit Union. It's still Riverview Credit Union. So we're going to have to retool our license agreement. It'll be signed by Riverview Credit Union, but it will bind their successor branch, Advia, which will take effect April 1. And so I would ask that the motion be made conditioned upon the Riverview Credit Union's approval of the license agreement.
Do I have to rephrase my motion then?
I would add that caveat that it's going to be conditioned on their approval, because generally speaking, the items always come to City Council with the approval having been signed by the entity that's making the request.
So I'll make that motion. For a third time.
Motion made, support for the motion?
I'll second the motion as long as we're okay with Mitch just piggybacking what the attorney said. So as long as that language goes into the minutes, so.
Right.
It will.
All right, the motion made, supported with the additional language of Mr. Downey's. Questions? Let's call a roll on that, please.
Kufa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
McCartney?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let's go to C, approve MML compensation study proposal, Mr. Rothy.
Yes, Council, I have, in addition to the memo I sent you last week, I put together another little more detailed breakdown of the cost for this classification and compensation study. Essentially what this is in our goal-setting session earlier this year, I talked about the need to update job descriptions as well as make sure, do a study on the compensation of our non-union positions in the city to make sure that we are both having external equity, which is basically how competitive we are with cities of our size, and also internal equity, which is how our positions with certain responsibilities compensated in comparison to other ones within the organization. So this proposal from the Michigan Municipal League is to do just that. First, there's going to be 5 positions which are still non-union positions, but they don't require I'm not proposing that they be subject to that the compensation and salary benefit analysis part. It would just be a updating of the job description to both match current responsibilities, comply with any new laws and requirements, and also comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which requires certain language to be in job descriptions. So that's 5 positions. The cost of that is $360 per position to, again, generate those new job descriptions. And then the remaining positions, of which there are 9, would be for the full compensation analysis, this is basically the MML, Michigan Municipal League, is going to come in and, through interviews and other activities, basically figure out where each position is relative to the other with a point factor evaluation, which, so the employees, the department heads, they basically make sure that there's internal equity there, that their responsibilities are such that they're compensated appropriately. And then it would be a proposal of salary ranges for those positions. The cost for those 9 positions is $1,080 per position. So with the travel expenses, we're essentially looking at a $12,000 to probably $14,000 project. The Michigan Municipal League will not be able to start this work, if approved tonight, until August with their current workload. I think it's really important to go with the Michigan Municipal League on this for this project because they do these all the time. They don't have to go, there's a lot of time and cost savings, I think, that are there because they have a lot of this data readily available, and they have, they've already picked out our peer group comparison that they're going to use in figuring out, the salary ranges. So, this is going to be over a $10,000 project, but given that it's a non-competitive nature, I am recommending that as part of the motion to approve, if one is made, council waive the competitive bid requirement. And again, this project, they will not be able to start it until August, which means, I spoke with the Michigan Municipal League, the city won't receive any bills for this until well into our next fiscal year. So this project will not affect this current year's budget, and we will, the project cost will be, included in the development of the budget that will be before you in May. And again, I just want to reiterate, I think this is really important for me too, because it'll basically be, when we have department heads who are going to be retiring in the next few years, it'll be a guide of where, what a new hire would be able to start at wage-wise, where they could expect to grow, and then it removes any sort of, accusations of favoritism between, who's getting which raise, which management, everybody's got a scale. There's a system in place for how people advance through that range. And I just think it's a really good tool, and it has been done by the city in the past. It's been, the last one I saw was 1991 this was done. At the time that was done, it was every position. Again, I'm just looking at the non-union employees for this. Happy to answer any other questions you may have.
I would just like to make a motion to approve it so we can go forward asking questions on the motions.
Support.
Okay, the motion's made and supported. Questions?
I can do. I have, obviously, the job descriptions for let's start with the five positions first. So obviously, they're gonna consider other municipalities, employees that do those same types of jobs. We're a small community, and I'm sure everybody in the office jumps from project to project. So you have these job descriptions now described. Are we going to be forced to hire more people at the end of the day?
No, definitely not. And I think that's why one of the reasons is because we're a smaller community and people wear so many hats is I want the job description to reflect those hats that they do wear currently. But no, there's no requirements or suggestion here. This isn't a study to evaluate our workforce. This is a study to evaluate, both to update the job descriptions and then evaluate the compensation for a few individuals. It's not a study that's determined if we have the appropriate staff level.
Okay, that's the only question I had.
Would the council have any input on it, or it just?
Yeah, I think the council, the MML will prepare their proposed, compensation system for those 9 positions. Council would certainly have insight in, actually implementing essentially going to propose multiple items such as, guaranteed step increases, a flex thing where part of it's step and part of it is based on the availability of funds and performance, or just totally based on performance. There's a lot of different, they're going to be proposing multiple options for council to consider. But, if council does have comments on that, they certainly come to me and I can direct MML to, share those concerns in your direction, certainly.
So you're saying up to this point, it's been kind of arbitrary?
In recent years, yes.
What's our dues to the MML every year? Do you have a handle on that at all?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know.
I do not think it exceeds 2,000, though. It's pretty small.
All right, the motion's made, supported.
Yes.
Any other discussion, questions? Call the roll, please.
Kufa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
McCartney?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, D is the Little League Parade, opening day, and state tournament parades, Chief.
Yes, I received a request from St. Clair Little League for 2 parades, one May 2nd, their opening day, and one July 10th for the state tournament parade. And all the paperwork's in. I recommend approval.
I make a motion to approve both as presented.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? E, approve St. Clair Marble Eye Classic Walleye Tournament, Chief.
I've received their requests and all their paperwork is in order. Also, that's for the weekend of May 15th through the 17th.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? F, approve temporary outdoor service for the Voyager.
Same. I have the request, it's for a boat race weekend. It's annual outdoor service for that weekend.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
All right, the motion's made. Support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Your Honor, I have to abstain.
Member Laporte abstains. G, approve special event for St. Clair Art Association Pop-Up Gala.
And I received a request for their gala at the plaza on September 12th, and all their paperwork is in also.
Make a motion, we
Support. All right, the motion made. Support. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Number 10 is claims and accounts, February 21st and February 27th, 2020.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
All right, motion made. Support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to number 11, public comment. If anybody has anything for non-agenda items, give you 3 minutes if you want to stop, come and say your piece. Give us your name and address, please.
Phil Lundman, 902 Clinton. I live on the corner of 9th and Clinton. My comments tonight are directed towards the proposed 10-foot wide bike path that the city is looking to put in from Kearney Drive to M29, a total distance of 1 mile. The proposal is to build a 10-foot wide bike path from the north side of Kearney and Clinton Avenue intersection to M29 by removing the entire existing sidewalk and replacing it with asphalt. There is no place in this city that I have found that there's a 10-foot path. It's all 8 foot or less. Now, I could have missed one, but that's what I found. The reason given for the increase to a 10-foot path was to meet guidelines to be eligible for federal funding without seeking design variances or exceptions. That seems like a shabby way to ask for more money. If it can't stand on its own for what it is you need, I don't think you need it. My biggest concern is a 10-foot wide bike path greatly increases the slope of my particular driveway and my neighbors on Clinton Avenue. Currently, my air spoiler in the front of my car drags with the incline I have now, so I usually don't park a car there. My truck fits fine. My neighbors to the west of me at 910 and 916, and they're here tonight, have no other access to their property and must rely on the Clinton Avenue driveways to park their vehicle. I would hope that the City of St. Clair would give this situation very serious consideration so we will still have proper driveway access to our properties. The engineer said, well, we may have to move a few poles. Yeah, that's an understatement. There's 22 telephone poles, 4 fire hydrants, 8 phone boxes, 1 railroad crossing pole, and 2 manhole covers. Now, I could have missed something, but that's what I found. And all of these would require rework to accomplish the 10-foot wide path. And by all means, let's not forget the 6 new lampposts and new stamped concrete you just put in and paid for from 5th Street to M29. Be a cardinal sin, tear that up. No one has even mentioned the loss of parallel parking on Clinton Avenue for Silk's Flower Shop. I know they've mentioned the other 2 businesses, but nobody has said anything about Silk's. There's only 15 feet of space to work with at Silk's. You do the math. 10-foot path, you got 5 feet left. Can you park a car on 5 feet? I don't think so, not unless you want to have your car hanging out on the road. And I don't think the police would take kindly to that. I would urge the city to hold an open meeting with those of us along Clinton Avenue that are affected by this proposal for our input, as other neighbors may have concerns that I'm not even aware of yet. If the city has this kind of access to funding, I'd like to take a line from our governor and say, fix the damn roads instead. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Phil. Any other public comment tonight?
Good evening. My name is Fred Kilkline, 631 North 3rd. Back in December, when pouring cups of water for my tea, noticed black specks in the water. This lasted for about a week. Then on January 12th, a Sunday, I got sick. On Monday, went to the doctor, ended up at St. John's in Detroit. After drinking their water, I got better. Then 2 weeks later, I received a letter from the city stating that you had changed the chemicals in the water for our drinking. Mr. Mayor, I would ask that you and the council get together and change the timing of when you report and how you report so that we residents can, if we have to, go to bottled water.
Thank you, Fred.
Okay? Thank you.
Anybody else tonight?
Council, there. My name is Ralph Schmoling. I live at 612 Clinton Avenue, north side, being affected with the proposed bike path. Not that I have a problem with a bike path, but I do have a problem with it extending 15 feet into my yard. My yard isn't that big, so half of my yard will be taken up with the bike path. I think we need to reevaluate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Anybody else? All right, I'm going to move from public comment to number 12 then, mayor and council comments and announcements. Does anybody have anything? I'd like to send our thoughts and prayers out to Kim's father's family. He lost his father-in-law this past week. He's over in Vancouver dealing with that right now. Anybody, Mitch, you got anything down there, or no? Tom? Okay, then I'll ask for an adjournment on number 13.
So moved, Your Honor.
Support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. Be careful going home. Cover your mouth when you snuff and cough and sneeze.